Well, it wouldn't be award season if there wasn't a Ranger being snubbed for AL Rookie of the Year finalist.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Texas Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can grow the show is to comment and subscribe and comment nearly any single thing below. Before we get into Wyatt Langford being snubbed for not just AL Rookie of the Year, but even being a finalist, and Baseball Prospectus unveiling their top 20 Rangers prospects. This video is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, Wyatt Langford has joined a proud tradition the last few seasons of Texas Rangers rookies being snubbed for not even winning the AL Rookie of the Year, but not even being finalist after some phenomenal rookie seasons. He joins Adolis Garcia, who did it back in 2021, lost out to his bestie, Randy Arozarena. He did it, joins Josh Young, who did it last year in 2023, despite having a phenomenal season, an all-star season, a World Series champion season. He lost out to Gunnar Henderson in 2023, and now Wyatt Langford doesn't even make the podium for AL Rookie of the Year in 2024. Hogwash. Coswell. Absolute nonsense happening here in the AL Rookie of the Year race, being just dominated by Yankees exceptionalism. What an embarrassing thing to say that happened in the regular season, not even after this World Series, after this postseason run where the Yankees went to the World Series. No, this Yankees exceptionalism was happening in the regular season. And this is the one major award. I mean, Manager of the Year award is always up in the air, a big question of who the heck's going to win it. But of the MVPs, the Rookies of the Year, the Cy Young awards, those are all pretty much chalk at this point. I mean, it's fairly obvious who's going to win each and every single one of those. Even in the National League Rookie of the Year race, it's going to be Paul Skeens. It's not particularly close. But the AL Rookie of the Year award is the one race in the awards race right now that is really in question. And now we finally have our answer of our 3 finalists. We have Yankees pitcher Luis Gil, Yankees catcher Austin Wells, and Baltimore Orioles outfielder Colton Cowser. Those are the 3 finalists. And while those guys all had great seasons, I feel very confident in saying that Wyatt Langford had a better season than all of them. Not only that, I think there are several other players that should have been finalists over, at the very least, Austin Wells, maybe Luis Gil as well, maybe even Colton Cowser as well. I think Cowser is probably the favorite. Last I checked, when FanDuel's odds were open, it seems like most of the way down the stretch, Colton Cowser was the leader, but there were several other players who had fantastic seasons, including Wyatt Langford. Wyatt Langford finished with a phenomenal 3.9 baseball reference WAR in his first season, playing pretty darn good outfield defense down the stretch in left field, mostly 105 games there, 15 games in the outfield. Honestly thought it was a lot more or 15 games in center field. Honestly thought it was a lot more games in center field. Finished the season with 16 home runs, 19 stolen bases, 4 triples, 25 doubles, couple of walk-offs, including a walk-off grand slam against those exceptional Yankees, including the first ever cycle on Monday or Sunday Night Baseball, not on Monday Night Baseball. Also, just some phenomenal base running, just some exceptional moments all around this season from Wyatt Langford. It wasn't just the final stat line, which was a 740 OPS, a 111 OPS plus, a fine season, but that really doesn't paint the picture of just how good Wyatt Langford was. of how great he was in the clutch, how great he was at producing big moment after big moment. Not only those several walk-offs that he had, the base hit up the middle against the Pittsburgh Pirates, the grand slam. I'm wanting to say that there was another walk-off home run that I'm just losing in the stretch of many, many memorable moments for Wyatt Langford. But not only that, but the finishing of this season, not only winning AL Rookie of the Month, but AL Player of the Month in the home stretch of the season in September, when the Rangers were still out of it, but there were plenty of other teams that were in stretch runs, including the guy who's going to win the MVP in, I was about to say Juan Soto. Juan Soto had a great month of September, but still not as good as Wyatt Langford, not as good as the MVP favorite in Aaron Judge, or the MVP second favorite in Bobby Witt Jr., or the MVP third favorite in Juan Soto. No, for the month of September, the most crucial moments of the season when everyone's trying to shore up their spot in the playoffs, playing at their hardest, Wyatt Langford was the best freaking player in the whole gosh darn league for a month. A month. And why is he being penalized? Why is he being penalized for preseason expectations? That's what this feels like. This feels like people saying, oh, well, Wyatt Langford was the favorite early on, and the expectations were all-star, maybe MVP votes, amazing season, to jump into the league and be one of the best players immediately from the jump. And that wasn't the case. It took him a long time to get his first home run, just his first inside the park home run, let alone hitting it outside of the park. That didn't happen until later. It took him a while to start, figuring out how pitchers were pitching him, how to, plan a game plan against Major League pitching, how to react to, frankly, a horrendous strike zone being called because he happens to be a 22-year-old rookie who also was in college a year before the season started. He still had many months to play from when the season started a year earlier. He wouldn't be drafted for another few months, and then spent about 5 seconds in the big league, in the minor leagues, nearly made his major league debut in that World Series. I mean, I think that decision was a lot closer than CY or anybody in the Rangers front office or Wyatt Langford or anybody will admit, but I know they contemplated it thoroughly. And I honestly think he would have been great. And that would have been an amazing moment for him to win his first World Series. Hopefully he will win a World Series with the Texas Rangers over his many, many year tenure with Texas. But those expectations of him being, the best player, one of the best players in the league, were just unfair. He was basically a three-way tie at the beginning of the season on FanDuel for the best odds to win AL Rookie of the Year. And you look at the other guys who were tied with him, Evan Carter and Jackson Holliday. I mean, it is no question of how much better a season Wyatt Langford had than those guys. I think the expectations on Wyatt Langford of just, this is just some slow DH only type guy. He's not gonna. He's got to be carried by his bat. He's only going to play the field a little bit. He's not going to be very good when he does so. He's not really that fast. And all of those things were just categorically untrue, which we've got to see basically from the jump. Wyatt Langford's first extra base hit being a triple, just a very Wyatt Langford of him. Those incredible base running moves that he had. I mean, he only had 19 stolen bases. I think if he got on base a little bit more, he would be a little bit more aggressive in that. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a 30 stolen base season as soon as next year. Heck, maybe even 40 if he's getting on base at a decent clip and really given the green light. This guy is one of the fastest players in baseball. And the defense, the way he improved defensively so quickly. I mean, it took about a month before I saw him out there in left field and felt pretty comfortable. I mean, those routes, it took a little bit of time, but when you've got that kind of athleticism, the kind of work ethic, the kind of drive that Wyatt Langford does, the improvements were happening in real time. I mean, it wasn't like this slow process. It was like, it felt like a week or so before it was like, this thing that he was doing, he wasn't doing anymore. This bad habit that he had is kicked out. Pitchers were attacking him this way. That thing is fixed. That is the Wyatt Langford that I appreciate. That is why I am so high on Wyatt Langford, because of how much better he got, how quickly. Coming up, we're going to talk about why I think Wyatt Langford had the best season of AL rookies and what my AL Rookie of the Year ballot would look like. plus a look at a top 20 Rangers prospect list right after this. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Right now, they do not have any betting odds up right now on the AL Rookie of the Year. We've already got the finalists. Those things have been set. Right now, they've got World Series odds. They've also got American League odds for who will win the American League next season. Right now, the Rangers at plus 1,300. They are behind the Yankees, Astros, Orioles, Guardians, Mariners, and the Twins. What? That is wild. Some pretty decent odds if you think the Rangers they are tied with the Twins at plus 1,300. If you want to go get in on those odds for whatever you're getting in on the sports action for, just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, this was a phenomenal season for Wyatt Langford. Again, I think a lot of that comes down to how much better he was down the stretch and just keep getting better and better and better. A lot of those second half numbers where he was just absolutely dominating, it wasn't just right after the All-Star break. I mean, even as recently as mid-August, Wyatt Langford was saying, I'm not happy with this season. This is a bad season. I have not done as well as I expected to. And down the stretch, basically from, the last 6 weeks or so of the season, he was just absolutely on fire, including hitting 7 home runs in his final month of the season, a 996 OPS in that month where he won AL Player of the Month, the base running ability, the defensive ability, and down the stretch, the offensive ability that he really, really turned on. I mean, the peak for Langford was so much higher than what any of these guys were doing. Austin Wells, he played pretty good defense as a catcher, as an everyday catcher for the New York Yankees, a contending team, a big market team, a lot of pressure on that. But his offensive numbers just weren't good enough to have him in the top 3 of this award. Luis Gil, this is his 3rd separate season in the big leagues. He came up in 2021, then pitched, I believe it was around 25-ish innings, then had a couple of starts in 2022, then missed all of 2023 and came back this year. He's 26 years old. I mean, he's already had 2 separate stints in the big leagues before this. I know technically he still qualifies. I also think that pitchers just need their own Rookie of the Year award. It's too difficult to compare what hitters and pitchers do. It's just, there's too many differences, and it so often just comes down to the hitters being more valuable. I mean, for Paul Skeens to win it, it will take a historic rookie season. He's going to win it, and he's not going to even be unanimous. I know for sure. I feel very, very confident. I haven't been told by any writers, so I know 100% for sure, but in my bones, I feel it, that these pitchers need another award, because pitting these two against each other is just too dang difficult. But I think my top 3 for AL Rookie of the Year voting, should I have had it, there is some consideration for Wilyer Abreu, who is the only AL rookie position player who had a higher Baseball Reference WAR than Wyatt Langford. Wyatt Langford was 4th amongst all position players, rookies, in B WAR, behind only Wilyer Abreu and Jackson. I was about to say Holiday, not the third one, the one in San Diego, who's named Jackson Merrill. And then I can't remember exactly. Oh, no, it was Mason Wynn, who was the other position player, the shortstop for the Cardinals. So he was one of the best position players, rookies, Baseball Reference WAR. It was a great season for Wilyer Abreu. And I think one guy in Oakland is getting maybe even more snubbed than Wyatt Langford. So my top 3, if I were voting, I'd go Wyatt Langford number 1, Lawrence Butler of the A's number 2, and Colton Cowser of the Orioles number 3. A good season, a lot of really good rookies, a difficult choice for AL Rookie of the Year. I don't think this is as egregious a non-finalist appearance as Josh Young missing last year, or even Adolis Garcia missing the podium in 2021. Shout out to the Sporting News for in 2021 voting Adolis Garcia their AL Rookie of the Year, the only true Rookie of the Year award that year. No offense to the Seattle Mariner, Randy Arozarena. Now, let's get into some prospect talk. I was talking a little bit with Grant Schiller, the OG Shill. He'll be on the show next week. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about his write-ups of these Rangers prospects. We'll also look back at our debutante draft that we did at the beginning of the season. You might have remembered me taking Wyatt Langford with the first overall pick. That might or might not have decided the entire thing. But the top 20 prospects in baseball perspectives this year, a couple of surprises there, including a different number one than I expected. Their number one prospect, which has been kind of universal around minor league baseball, these different prospect publications. It's not Kumar Rocker. That's not. It is the shortstop from the Bahamas. That's right. The one and only Sebastian Walcott. And I was kind of surprised by this. I'm going to probably unveil my top 30 Rangers prospects list when I usually do, probably in January. I would do it in the next couple of weeks, but I want to do it as a standalone series and not be interrupted by some breaking news, which could be happening sometime in the next few weeks. I don't really expect it to, but got a lot of guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. But Sebastian Walcott over Kumar Rocker, I keep going back and forth on which of those guys I will have as my number one prospect when that list comes out sometime in January, when there is absolutely no news breaking. And I've talked to a couple different people about this. There seems to be more of a consensus on this than I thought there'd be. For me, I thought, at the end of the season, there is no question that it was going to be Kumar Rocker, because, how often can we say the Rangers have a pitcher in their system with ace potential that is not only close to the big leagues, but in the big leagues and flashing that potential at the big league level? Basically never in my 30 years of lifetime. And so I thought for sure that is got to be the number one prospect. But that hasn't really been the case. And the more people that I've talked to about it, I said, wow, how did you not have Kumar Rocker number one on your Rangers prospect rankings? How? They say it's not as much about Kumar Rocker being low on him as it is being super, super high on Sebastian Walcott. And to them, I say, you know how to pander. That is exactly the answer that I am looking for. For me, it's a case of sticker shock. This is something new. This is something unseen. This is, wildly exciting. This is something that gets, my juices flowing of, oh my God, the Rangers have, this was the season of the Rangers pitching prospect. I've talked about it a bazillion times. This is the best developmental year for Rangers pitching prospects that I have ever seen when covering Rangers minor league baseball, and that many, many people who have been covering this and doing this much longer than me have ever seen while covering Rangers minor league baseball. But Sebastian Walcott, the ceiling on this kid is through the stratosphere. It is an unbelievable ceiling. And there's still a very, very low floor. And there used to be a time not that long ago where that's the exact type of prospect that I would be all in on. Say, number one, just throw him up there. All I value is ceiling. Perennial all-star, maybe MVP type of position player. There's no way anything is going to be above that. But with Rocker, there's still a little bit of that in there. He's also already at the big league level. And Walcott showing a lot of ceiling. The raw tools, the athleticism, the raw power. Let me just read you the sentence. Grant Schiller did a lot of the write-up for this. This was my favorite line from all of his many writings about all the Rangers prospects this year. And quote, the Bahamian shortstop who spent much of his childhood stateside posts frankly stupid max exit velocities for his age, 18, and projects for 70 to 80 grade raw pop out of his fluid 6'5" frame. Very Grant Schiller sentence of saying, frankly, stupid max exit velocities. That's the kind of raw pop this guy is generating as a teenager. He is still a teenager. He does not turn 19 until March. And he has already made it to Double A and already had 24 plate appearances there, slugged .609 in his first 24 plate appearances in Double A Frisco. He also hit near 350. Granted, pretty small sample size, but still very, very encouraging stuff from this teenage shortstop who has the ceiling of perennial all-star, earns comparisons to Fernando Tatis Jr. in a good way, not in a landing on the suspension list, crashing a motorcycle kind of way. This is the kind of ceiling we are talking about with Sebastian Walcott, which will make it a very, very difficult choice for me going between him and Kumar Rocker, because I am incredibly high on Kumar Rocker. But the ceiling of Sebastian Walcott, oh boy, that is going to be something to dream on for a long, long time. Or maybe not that long, because who knows how much longer he will be spending in the minor leagues. Coming up, we'll talk about a little bit more on this prospect list, including a guy who I had not heard of before this year, having a fantastic season and a possible reunion to solve the Rangers' DH crisis and maybe jumpstart their offense next year. Right after this. This show is brought to you by SelectQuote. The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics. The world's top athletes can play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy, keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you and tailor a life insurance policy to your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. And these policies are more affordable than you might think. You can get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 a month. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/lockedon. Go to SelectQuote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/lockedon. And there's a couple other things of interest in this Baseball Prospectus Top 20 Rangers Prospect rankings. I'm not just going to go through the whole list. You should subscribe to Baseball Prospectus. They are a great outlet with a lot of great writers. I'm not just saying that because Grant's my friend. I've been reading them for a long time, since before Grant was there. These are some of the sharpest baseball analyzing minds in the business. A couple of things that did stand out to me is Jack Leiter being lower on this list than I expected at number 6, behind guys like Malcolm Moore, behind Emiliano Teodo. That shocked me. I'm high on Teodo, but that was pretty shocking to me, having Teodo ahead of Leiter when Leiter has already made it to the big leagues, has already shown that he can dominate at times in AAA. There are still some big questions with both of them, still some big reliever risk with both of them. Also a good sign for Malcolm Moore, who was the Rangers' first-round pick this past year. The catcher, who is a bat-first catcher, spent about 5 minutes, I was about to say stateside, like he was coming over from international. No, in the minor leagues, he spent about 5 minutes in minor leagues after being drafted in Hickory. Didn't really put up the most impressive numbers, but still, it's good to see that they are high on this guy, on his ability to be potentially an everyday catcher who hits 20-plus home runs. That provides a lot of value. The floor on him is pretty low at times, because he could end up as just a first base DH type if the catching skills aren't quite there. There are still very much some questions about that. But a guy who I had not heard of before this year, who really, really jumped onto the scene, is Yolfran Castillo, a shortstop who put up some, frankly, wild numbers and has been pretty universally a top 10 Rangers prospect. Right now, he ranks at number 9 in the Rangers system, according to Baseball Prospectus. I believe he is also, if not top 10, just just outside the top 10 on MLB Pipeline. They have him at 11. BP has him at number 9 on their list. He is a right-handed hitting shortstop who's 17 years old. This past season put up some crazy numbers in the Dominican League. His first pro action, he had a 414 batting average and an on base of 552. Absolutely insane walk to strikeout rates, 97 plate appearances in the DSL, and 22 walks to 8 strikeouts. Let me say that again, 22 walks to just 8 strikeouts. That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers level of knowledge of the strike zone, swing decisions, pitch recognition, all of that good stuff you're looking for. Then he made the jump to the Arizona Rookie League, 66 plate appearances there, had 5 walks to 7 strikeouts, not as insane of a rate, hit .333, on base of .379, slugged just .350. Not a whole lot of slug for this guy in his age 17 season, but again, he's 17 years old. He's still a growing boy, listed at 6'3", 165 pounds. There's very much some developmental meat on the bones that as he adds some actual meat and muscle on those bones. Just 5 doubles, the only extra base hits he had in those a little bit over 150 plate appearances. A lot of bat to ball skills. Not a guy who signed for a big bonus, just kind of a guy who came out of the Dominican complex, with turning some heads. He's a shortstop for now. We'll see how long he sticks there, but just someone to definitely keep an eye on as we are going forward. But the Rangers did make a signing. Granted, it was not one that really is all that splashy, not one that I am sure will stick around on this roster, even the 40-man roster for the long term, but Luis Carvalho, a relief pitcher, a righty, formerly with the Seattle Mariners. His last bit of action this year was with the Arkansas Travelers, I believe is what their name is. He's 23 years old, heading into his age 24 season in 49 games with the Arkansas Travelers, a 2.5-ish ERA, 2.57 if you want to be specific about it. 66 2/3 innings, 78 strikeouts. You look at his minor league numbers over 6 seasons, a 3.5 ERA, just shy of 300 innings, 10.2 Ks per 9, 2.8 walks per 9. Fine, solid. Rangers signed him to a major league deal. I believe it is probably going to be a league minimum deal. It feels like that is the likelihood there, but interesting signing. I don't have a whole lot more to say about that because there really isn't all that much more to say about that. I'll talk a little bit with our Mariners folks and see if they can give me a little bit more insight to share on Luis Carvalho and what he might bring to the Rangers bullpen in 2025, should he make it through the entire winter on this roster. But somebody who might make it through, if the Rangers sign him, would definitely make it through the entire winter on the roster, who made it the entire 2024 season without signing anywhere. I kind of was brought this to my attention because I was playing MLB The Show, as I am wanting to do, playing a franchise with the San Diego Padres, looking for some free agents signed at the beginning of the season who were still free agents at that time. Didn't go and cheat out and go get Jordan Montgomery, but a guy who I signed, Brandon Belt. I thought, wow, this guy's very helpful for my team. I thought, I didn't hear much of anything about Brandon Belt in the 2024 season. That's peculiar because I remember him being very, very good in 2023 and also sensational in 2021 on that Giants team that just lit the world on fire, which, by the way, he played in 97 games. It's age 33 season, 97 games in 2021, 29 home runs, a 975 OPS. He'd also done it the season before in 2020. He had a 1015 OPS, 9 home runs in 51 games back in that 2020 shortened season. Did it again in 2021, down year in 2022, and then with Toronto, a 2-WAR season, 103 games, an 858 OPS, 369 on base, 490 slugging, 19 bombs in just over 400 plate appearances. And I thought, how in the heck did this guy not sign in 2024? Was he asking for some outrageous salary demands? Well, he made $9.3 million in 2023. And as far as my research shows, he is not fully wrapped it up. He has not called it a career. He is not retired. As of my knowledge, maybe he has retired after spending all of 2024 not being signed. He'd be 37 this year. It would be a little wild for the Rangers to go out and sign this guy. I can't imagine he is, just calling it a career after that. I mean, there were articles that I read from May. They're saying this guy's not done. He's not hanging it up. And there are plenty of teams that very much could have used a Brandon Belt on their team. The Rangers included, by the way. They very much could have used a Brandon Belt on the 2023 team to crush righties and just be another good bat on this team. This team very much could have used a Brandon Belt. But is there a place on the Rangers in 2025 for at least a minor league with major league spring training invite type of deal for Brandon Belt? He clearly has some familiarity with Donnie Ecker and also the hitting coach that the Texas Rangers quite literally just hired in Justin Beal. Those two were tag teaming it as the hitting instructors for the San Francisco Giants back in 2020 and 2021. Coincidentally, the best seasons of Brandon Belt's long storied major league career. Could there be a chance that the Rangers go out and sign this guy? Yes, there are absolutely no credible rumblings or sources or anything like that that is providing me this kind of information, as opposed to it's just my brain, just pure old logic and gut instincts. I feel like there could be something there. There's definitely still some good baseball to be played left in Brandon Belt's career should anybody want to sign him. I honestly, for the life of me, cannot understand why nobody signed him for the entirety of the 2024 season. If Brandon Belt is still out there looking for a major league contract, this is a guy who is a low risk. I can't imagine he's going to be out there asking for a $10 million or $15 or $20 million salary after not playing for an entire season in 2024. If he's still got that itch to play Major League Baseball, Brandon Belt is a guy who I think the Rangers should, at the very least, give a call and kick the tires on. Because if they could get him to sign, if they could add him to this roster, would be a very, very cost-efficient way and a very, very high upside play for the Rangers to improve an offense that, frankly, needs quite a bit of improvement, maybe more than just the guys on this roster getting better. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. I'll be back tomorrow with Millard Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks talking about a potential reunion with a World Series champion via trade. That'll do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy Texas Rangers baseball.